I'm going to talk about fear of the blank page and how to get over it. And these tips will be useful even if a blank page doesn't bring you out in a cold sweat. So, one of the most important things you can do if you're starting to write is to get over the fear of the blank page. And there are lots of ways to do this. I think the fear of the blank page isn't actually to do with the blank page and that flashing cursor at all. It's more to do with the idea in our heads that tells us, well, you can't write. What are you writing for? Haven't you got better things to be doing? Who are you to write things down? That kind of negative critical voice that tells us not even to start, might as well not bother. But yes, having a blank page in front of us can feel intimidating if we're just starting. So here are some ways you can get over that. One is simply to make lists. I love doing this because you don't have to worry about making sense or creating sentences. You can also do it wherever you are. So you go through all of your senses and decide, what can you hear? Well, you might hear a dog barking. What texture would you feel if you put out and touch something? I can feel my desk and it feels cold. What can you smell? Or there's a kind of woody smell inside my writing shed, not surprisingly, because it's made of wood. So it doesn't have to be anything particularly precise or creative, as long as you can make a list out of it. You can add it to your list. And what can you see? Well, I can see notebooks and folders and the pictures on my wall. If I look out of the window, I can see trees. It doesn't have to be anything profound. You're simply making a list. It's a way to get going. So what else can you do? Well, you can try free writing. So set a timer for a minute at first, and then maybe put it up to 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You pick up a pen or put your fingers on the keyboard and you just keep writing, even if you write rubbish, even if you write swear words over and over again, even if you write why, keep writing until the timer goes off. Don't have to make sense. And again, you can combine this with the first exercise, making a list by going through the senses. You can simply write what's around you in the room or wherever you are. And you could also take your imagination on a flight of fancy. One thing I get people to do sometimes is just to play word association with themselves. Write whatever's in your head, as long as you keep going till the time is up. Now, I find free writing is a great way to generate ideas. So I often come up with characters that way using timed writing, and I'll keep going until I come up with something interesting. The interesting stuff often doesn't come out until you've been doing it for a while, but that's okay. And it definitely helps get over fear of the blank page, because within a few seconds, you've got some words down. The page is no longer blank. Well, I've already talked about Julia Cameron's Filling the Well on this course, and this can also really help. You deliberately go out and have an experience in order to be able to write about it. And of course, then your job is to record that experience, and hopefully that too helps you get over fear of the blank page. You don't even really have to go anywhere in particular for that to work. You can simply stare out of the window, stand in your garden if you've got one, or on your balcony, observe something and then write about it, which is why we started this course using observation. We often go for a walk around our local graveyard because it's just down the road from us, and we're always discovering interesting names as well as observing nature there. There's a green woodpecker who likes to hang out in the graveyard, for example. Creates a nice circuit for us to go around, lots of old gravestones, lots of nature we can observe. Seen all sorts of birds there. So being mindful of the experience you're having, even if it's a really mundane experience, and then writing a list of words when you get time to, can really help get over fear of the blank page. It's a kind of warm-up exercise. Simply tell yourself to describe whatever it was, your walk, going around the graveyard in my case, describe it, and then the page suddenly isn't blank anymore. Actually, writing about mundane everyday experiences can be really life affirming, and also it can be really intriguing for a reader who perhaps hasn't had that experience or starts to see that experience in a new way. So there are some ways of getting over the blank page. They'll also help if you're not particularly perturbed by the flashing cursor, but you need something to write about or a warm up. So you can make lists, can be lists of anything, and then who knows, maybe later they might create interesting ideas or ways into a longer piece of writing for you. Free writing, so writing without stopping, but I'm suggesting that you add some kind of time constraint and then see what you've got. Again, absolutely doesn't have to make sense because of this idea of drafting. We're going to create another draft later. Deliberately experiencing something to fill your well, going to a museum or a gallery, looking out of your window, going for a walk, standing outside your door. I really like what Natalie Goldberg says about the critical voice in your head telling you that you can't write, that you might as well not bother, that, that you should get over yourself, that you should stop doing it, forget about it, you're never going to be able to write. Natalie Goldberg tells us to learn to observe it rather than try and push it away, to know it's there, to accept that it's there. And then you can just start sort of laughing at it in a gentle way. Just leave it to prattle away in the background. Meanwhile, you get on with your writing. So great advice from Natalie Goldberg. That's from Writing Down the Bones, which, by the way, is another great way to find writing prompts.